Meet Chester. He's pure sweetness wrapped in fluffy orange fur, with enough plot twists in his life to star in a best-selling novel if cats had any interest in literature. This is the story of a kitten who wasn't supposed to make it, but he did. And by surviving, he set off a chain of events that helped save many more fragile kittens. Stick around to see how that happened and how Chester became one little human's biggest friend.
Oh, Chester, so nice.
Back in 2020, Chester arrived into foster care as a 2-week-old orphan, tumbling in alongside 3 siblings with nothing but a fighting chance and a serious need for round-the-clock help. His foster mom, Caroline, was still fairly new to this world of critical kitten care. She had no idea just how critical things were about to get. Only a few days after Chester settled in, he took a turn. Suddenly, this tiny kitten, who should have been chugging down his bottle like a champ, went completely limp, too weak to even lift his own head, let alone eat. He was in the grip of something called Fading Kitten Syndrome, a condition that does exactly what it sounds like. It makes fragile newborn kittens fade fast. For most kittens in that state, the odds are grim. But Chester had one major thing going for him. Caroline had absolutely no intention of giving up on him. For nearly a week, she fed him formula drop by drop, every single hour and a half, day and night. No long stretches of sleep, no days off, just an exhausted human and one impossibly small kitten who could barely swallow. She held him close against her chest and refused to let him out of her sight, as if her own body heat and heartbeat might be the thing that pulled him back. At his lowest point, she made him a promise. If he could just hold on and fight, she would never, ever leave him. And somehow, against everything the odds suggested, it was like Chester listened. After a week of touch-and-go nights, he started to rally. Slowly, then all at once, the tiny, fading kitten transformed into something else entirely. A bouncing, blossoming, ridiculously happy little creature bursting with personality. And Caroline, of course, kept her promise. Chester was never going anywhere again.
You love Patty Rocks. Oh, buddy.
But Chester's survival didn't just change his own life, it changed Caroline's path completely. Going through that harrowing week gave her a front row seat to just how little support exists for the tiniest, most fragile kittens out there. The orphan newborns, the medically fragile, the ones most rescues aren't equipped to handle. So she decided to become the person who could. That experience is the reason Caroline built Baby Kitten Rescue, an organization dedicated specifically to neonatal kittens, critical care cases, and special needs babies who need more than the average foster home can offer. She even trained other foster parents in these same advanced, hands-on care techniques, multiplying that one impossible rescue into countless others. So, in a very real way, an entire rescue organization exists today because one orange kitten listened to his human on one Tuesday afternoon in 2020 and refused to give up. These days, Chester lives up to every bit of the personality that fought its way back from the brink. This silly cat is full of love for everyone in the house, both humans and animals. He's endlessly affectionate, and he's got the softest fur, paired with a purr that sounds less like a cat and more like a cooing dove. And he helps with the very work he inspired, making sure every foster kitten who comes into the house feels welcome as part of the family. He grooms the little ones, plays with them, and naps beside them, so every kitten who meets Chester feels loved and accepted by a feline friend. But the most touching part of Chester's story might be the one still unfolding, his bond with Caroline's toddler, Kaia.
Oh, good job. Whoop, be gentle. Good boy, Chess.
It didn't happen overnight. For the first 5 months, Chester mostly just watched her from a distance, curious but cautious, never quite ready to let her close enough to touch. Caroline never pushed it. She let the two of them figure each other out entirely on their own terms, at their own pace. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, something shifted. Chester started walking straight up to Kaia, offering her head bumps, letting her pet him, curling up beside her for snuggles. What began as quiet observation turned into something much bigger.
Oh, that's so nice. Did he give you a hug? Oh, Kaia. He loves you.
Now he actively seeks her out wherever she is in the house because apparently watching from afar just wasn't enough anymore. Every morning, he sits by her bedroom door, waiting patiently for his little human friend to wake up so they can hang out together.
Oh, did you give him a hug back? Remember to be gentle.
Of course, Kaia can be a little loud, a little too enthusiastic. She's still learning the finer points of gentle cat etiquette. But Chester handles it all with a patience that borders on saintly. He lets her pull at his paws and tail and headbutt him with all the grace of a toddler discovering physics, treatment he wouldn't dream of accepting from anyone else in the house. He seems to understand, somehow, that she's still learning, and he simply waits her out, teaching her without ever losing his cool. Maybe the clearest sign of how deep that bond runs came recently when Kaia caught a nasty flu and had a hard week feeling bad. Chester barely left her side the entire time. He seemed to know something was wrong, staying close, checking in, offering the kind of quiet comfort you can't really teach a cat to give. It just has to be there already. Now, after everything you've seen, don't you think Chester is the sweetest cat ever? And bear in mind, you haven't even seen it all yet. This guy shares his home with another rescued cat named Rufus, who happens to be paralyzed. From the very first introduction, Chester treated him with nothing but warmth and ease, as if some cats simply understand exactly what another creature needs without being told. Rufus and the friendship he shares with Chester and Kaia deserve their own spotlight, but that's a story for another time. For now, though, this is Chester's story. A 2-week-old kitten who wasn't supposed to survive, fed drop by drop back to life by someone who refused to let go, grew up to become the endlessly patient heart of his family, gently teaching a toddler how to love a cat and becoming the unlikely inspiration behind a rescue mission that continues to save kittens just like him. Not bad for a cat who started life fighting for the tiniest chance of survival.